Please provide a round of applause for former Artsakh State Minister, Dr. Artak Beglaryan.
Good evening. Thank you for this important symposium, especially to the USC Armenian Studies Center's team with Dr. Karapetyan's leadership. It's very important for our people to see that we are not forgotten. Though I was said that I am blind, but I clearly see that there is an extensive and strong audience here, and we could organize COP29 conference even here, instead of allowing it to become a dirty, bloody, and corrupt party in Azerbaijan. During 2020 aggression, when I was Human Rights Ombudsman of the Republic of Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, I was voicing to the international community about the crimes of Azerbaijan against our people, appealing for international support. When I had meetings in shelters with our people, in many cases, people were asking me to do the best to raise the voice of to the international community to halt the crimes. And I particularly remember an elderly man named Grandfather Suren, who was in a basement, and just after the loss of his son in a battle, in the basement he told me that I believe that a blind man can open the eyes of the international leaders to stop this tragedy. And he asked me to do my best. After that, I and our people had lots of ups and downs of hopes. During the blockade, when again I was one of those who were raising the voice of our people to the international community, one day I again met Grandfather Suren, this time in a long and desperate line for a bread. And he told me, "It seems you have not completely lost your hope in the international community. Don't you see that money and military power matter more than human rights or similar empty words?" When I asked about alternative solutions, he said, "What if we integrate into Azerbaijan just to live in our homes peacefully, even if it means minimal rights?" For the third time, I met Grandfather Suren in Yarabalur military cemetery in Yerevan after our forced displacement. And he came there in order to honor the memory of his fallen son, embodied in the grave just back in Artsakh. And he told me, "We were all wrong. Neither God, nor international community, nor Aliyev wanted us to live in our homes, regardless of any status or any rights. So, եղունգ ունես գլուխդ քորիր. If you have a nail, use it to scratch your own head. don't rely on others. The story of grandfather Suren is very powerful and reflecting the reality on the ground of the mood. Prior to 2020 aggression, our people believed that the international community would not permit any kind of aggression. During the aggression, this belief turned into hope. During the blockade, many people were still believing in international community, others in Mother Armenia, or Russian peacekeepers, or our army. Some even in their enemy. People needed something to rely on. But because of the Azerbaijani blockade and aggression in September 2023, all the pillars of belief and hope of our people collapsed. And this is the main reason of our forced displacement. Grandfather Suren doesn't have any belief, any hope, even any nail to rely on. He has only love, primarily for the memory of his fallen son, just left in Artsakh, under Azerbaijani genocidal occupation, threat of destruction, and in the ghostly homeland of our people. Is this the world and humanity that we believe and hope in, we love and live in? What is next for the Artsakh people? The Artsakh genocide marks a new phase for the mass atrocities history of the humanity. Why? Because Azerbaijan used modern and smart style methods for genocide. There were no machete attacks. There were no traditional methods of genocide. That's why many people doubt that it was genocide. They say just ethnic cleansing or whatever it is. But even after our forced displacement, Aliyev is fighting against our ghosts. Aliyev is destructing our cultural heritage. Aliyev is destructing our cemeteries, our homes. And as he confessed in October of 2023 in Stepanakert, next to a fire, he said, now we are working on removing, erasing the aura of Armenians. This is clear genocidal intent. What we have now our vision is to return to our homeland, to have safe, dignified, just, and sustainable life there. For this vision, we need lots of things, actions to do. And I think we have midterm strategic goals also, and I would bring 5 of them. Firstly, we need to preserve our identity and our rights in Armenia, ensuring proper conditions there for our living as collective as possible, and just by the moment of our return to our homeland. Secondly, we need to protect our heritage, our cemeteries, our homes, public and private property back in Artsakh, because Azerbaijan is destroying and misusing everything there. Thirdly, we need to make all the efforts to return all of our hostages from Azerbaijani jails. and to uncover the fates of those missing. Fourthly, we need all the efforts by everyone to hold the Azerbaijani leadership and the genocide perpetrators accountable with all the measures of the international community. And this is must not only for justice and the return of our people, but also for prevention of further crimes by Azerbaijan against Armenians and by any kind of genocide perpetrator worldwide. Fifthly, we need to eradicate the anti-Armenian ethnic hatred system in Azerbaijan. This system is the ideological basis for all Azerbaijani crimes and foundation of the power of dictator and genocide perpetrator Aliyev. This is a must for lasting peace in South Caucasus. What's next for the humanity? Never again is a phrase that we say, we believe in, and sometimes we act on when communities are uprooted or histories are erased. But we all understand that in many cases, including in the case of Artsakh, we failed. And this cost lives, this cost fates, and this will cost additional lives in other places of the world. I'm not only a human rights advocate and scholar here to talk about the reality, but also based on my experience from Artsakh to this stage, from childhood to today. I had lots of pain, lots of loss, but also resilience, belief, hope, and love, like every one of the Artsakh people. We had that resilience in Artsakh, but we lost the hope. That's why we lost the homeland. As Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, which is true in all kinds of cases of injustice and crimes, which means that never again is something for everyone, not only for those people who suffered because of genocides or other mass atrocities, but also to everyone, including in this hall. What we can do in this case? Firstly, I would like to specify the 5 key reasons of the failure of never again. The first reason for me is lack of data. Second, lack of awareness. Third, lack of interest. Fourth, lack of capacity. And fifth, lack of means. We need to address all of those deficiencies effectively in order to prevent never again from failing again. When we are talking about the failures of the international community, I think we have 4 levels of actors: international, national, institutional, and individual. We are always having in our mind, mostly having in our mind, the failures of the actors at the international and national level. But I would stress the failures of the actors at the institutional and individual levels, because I believe that it's up to us, up to individuals, civil society organizations, media, academia, and other institutions to push forward just agendas and just actions by the governments. I don't believe that justice and truth would flow from top down. And I believe that now, more than ever, we have that opportunity as individuals and as institutions to stop never again failing again. I think we have first the civil society institutions, for example, human rights organizations, media, academia, and technological companies. If those giants, some of from all of those spheres, would unite their efforts to collect data and to have mechanisms of prevention and early warning and response mechanisms for genocide and mass atrocity prevention, I'm sure that we would have lots of results. Besides, they could raise awareness, they could push forward agendas to the governments and to push them for just actions and real-time, real actions. I think now we have another opportunity. It's artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence opens another opportunity for us for collecting, analyzing data, and raising awareness. You see that, ironically, I found another and fancy pillar for my belief and hope to rely on. And I think really that artificial intelligence will not be ungrateful to the humanity, because AI owes humanity for its birth, and in that case, AI would do everything to protect humanity. This is a concept, this is new concept. We can call that responsibility of artificial intelligence to protect. Ray to P. Let's see whether we have that or not. As individuals, I think we need to keep never mind as a principle in all kinds of actions and policies and studies of everyone. I specified 10 actions for each individual for never again, with letters, first letters building never again. N, nurture diversity and inclusivity. E, educate yourself and others. V, voice opposition to hate. E, engage in policy influence. R, reinforce human rights organizations. A, amplify marginalized voices. G, guard against early warning signs. A, act with compassion. I, insist on accountability. And network for change. As a conclusion, I would bring something personal. On September 25, 2023, when the forced displacement of our people began, I and my brothers went to our ancestral village to visit the graves of our parents, for asking forgiveness, saying goodbye, and promised to return. I would say that it was the most painful moment of my life. In the abandoned village, we met the last people who were hurrying up to flee. We found a 95 years old blind lady alone and in need of assistance. We took her in car and drove to Stepanakert. Along the way, I was holding her suffering shoulders, and a provocative thought came to my mind, that she and I are lucky to be blind because we didn't see physically the historic tragedy of our people. But just after that, I started accusing myself of turning two blind eyes to the reality, as the international community was and is doing. So, my call to you is, let's unite our minds, our hearts, our hands, and even our nails in order to prevent never again from failing again. Let's understand that we are the international community, that we have the responsibility towards each other, that we should not be blind and cannot be blind, and we should bring belief, hope, and love to all those who were and are suffering in the world. In the end, let sun bring hope and light to your hearts, as the popular Artsakh song Horovel is saying. Iriknaka tusayeka tanasira lusayeka sormin kore vervaraning Gida serte suisayeka Hora ho apan matach apun dalun kuchir hotach Hora ho 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 ho. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beglaryan.